9 months ago, I didn't speak a word of English fluently. But now, without even trying, I can talk about everything in English. Let me tell you how bad my English was. I was at A2 level. You know, that school English where you sound like a robot reading from a textbook. 9 months later, I am making this entire video in English, thinking in English, even dreaming in English. The shocking part, I never forced myself to speak, not once. This goes against everything you have been taught. But here is the secret: comprehensible input. But is it actually possible to be fluent in English just by listening and reading? Well, I've been using comprehensible input to learn English for over 9 months now. And in this video, I am going to share my honest experience with it, the resources I used, the challenges I faced, and what exactly happened to my English. By the end of this video, you can tell whether it really works or not. But first, what is comprehensible input? Comprehensible input simply means listening to or reading English that's easy for you. English you can mostly understand. Think of it like this. If you watch a 5-minute video on YouTube, let's say about travel, and you can understand most of it, except for a few words here and there that you don't know, but you can guess the meaning from context. That's a sweet spot. The content should be just a little bit above your current level. You should understand between 95 and 98% of what you read or listen to. Yes, 95 to 98% of what you read or listen to. You might say, that's too easy, but trust me, it's not. Think of it like this. If you read 100 words per minute, in 5 minutes you will read 500 words. If you understand 98%, that means you know 490 out of 500 words. And there are still 10 new words you don't know. 10 new words in just 5 minutes is a lot. But don't worry, your brain will recognize them gradually. If you read a lot, you will see those unknown words again and again. Over time, with enough repetition and exposure, you'll start to understand them subconsciously. That is the whole idea behind comprehensible input and language acquisition. Challenges I faced. There were 4 challenges I faced, especially in the beginning. 1. Feeling overwhelmed. At first, I felt overwhelmed because there were so many resources and I wasn't sure what should I focus on. There were movies, animations, podcasts, fiction, non-fiction books, articles, blogs, English learning websites, and more. 2. Finding the right content. I wanted something both interesting and easy. This is the ideal comprehensible input. But often, the content I found interesting was too difficult, and the content that was easy wasn't so interesting. The solution? I chose content that interested me more, even if it was a bit difficult at first. But I used a trick. Repetition. I repeated the same video over and over. Every time I watched it again, I understood more. Later, I realized that repetition is actually part of the language acquisition process. I noticed that my daughter repeats the same cartoon again and again. She does it naturally, and that's how her brain learns. Over time, I began to understand more, even when I was watching a video for the first time. 3. What about unknown words? Should I look up every unknown word? Well, in the beginning, I did, but it took so much time, and then I knew this is not the best way. Why? You can't memorize all English words. You know, the Oxford Online Dictionary lists over 600,000 words. Yes, English is massive, but don't worry, you don't know to know all these words to be fluent. So here's what I did instead. I only looked up a word if it was too important to understand the story. I saw it many times and still didn't understand it from context. I was just curious. Or I felt it was a very common word that I should know. To check if a word is common, I used youglish.com. If it appeared in more than 1,000 videos, I considered it common. I used online dictionaries like Oxford Online Dictionary or just Google Translate. My goal was not memorization, but understanding. 4. How did I stay motivated? At times, I questioned myself. Is this really working? Can I really improve my speaking with just listening and reading? Because honestly, my ultimate goal, like yours, was to speak fluently. I got over this doubt because I saw progress quickly, faster than I expected. I'll tell you exactly what happened in a second. But first, let me share the resources I used. In the first weeks, I watched the following YouTube channels: A few weeks later, I started listening to Power English Lessons by A.G. Hawk. Then I began watching videos about things I love, like chess, FC Barcelona news, and I gave Friends a try, but it was too difficult at first. So I decided to wait. Now I've tried it again, and I can understand it easily. Yeah! Here is a list of the books I have read so far. These are just a few of the things I started with. If you want a full list, let me know in the comments. So, what happened to my English? After a few weeks of listening, shadowing, and reading out loud, I started talking to myself without forcing it. And I felt great because I used simple English, no one was judging me, I was free to make mistakes. After a few months, I could speak faster. I could speak words and expressions I never looked up. Let me share this story with you. One day, I was walking to the hospital and talking to myself in English. And I needed the word throat. You know, this is throat. And suddenly, it just came. I had never studied it. I never looked it up. But somehow I knew it. I didn't know how I knew it. I don't even remember where I saw it. My brain had been learning English quietly, without me noticing. And that is the whole point of comprehensible input and Dr. Stephen Krashen's theory about language acquisition. After 9 months, I feel very confident in my English. I can say I am speaking fluently. Of course, it's not perfect. Of course, I still make mistakes, but it's way more than I expected after just 9 months. I didn't learn English, I absorbed it. And you can too. And remember, I'm not studying at all. No grammar, no memorization, no textbooks. I'm just listening to things I enjoy. I'm reading interesting books. I'm not only learning English, I'm learning a lot of other things too. One more thing, I never stop learning because I never stop watching or reading. Even when I'm scrolling on TikTok or YouTube Shorts, I find English content. Why? Because whenever I search for something, I search in English. If a video comes up in my native language, I swipe up until I find one in English. That's how TikTok and YouTube keep showing me English content. Social media platforms show you what they think you are interested in, right? So turn them into learning tools. And finally, I don't feel guilty anymore. I don't feel like I'm wasting time if I'm watching YouTube or scrolling on TikTok because I'm learning English. My message to you: don't force yourself to speak. Don't focus on grammar. Don't memorize words without context. Just listen to a lot of English. Read easy English every day. Surround yourself with English. Use social media as a learning tool. Talk to yourself or to AI, but don't worry too much about mistakes. Consistency is key. English learning takes time, but it's worth it. If you want to speed it up, watch this video to know more about the fastest way to become fluent in English. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Bye bye!